To turn our attention to a pretty serious issue. A Carlton podcast, The Jumper Punch, made some abhorrent comments only, say, 48 hours ago, 24 hours ago, an attempted apology as well, which fell well and truly short. Referencing, I'd punch a certain podcaster when they were talking about a celebrity boxing match or a boxing match between content creators, completely missed the mark. Thought it'd be great to get a man who does incredible work, has done incredible work in the football world, but incredible work in the domestic violence space. And I speak of Phil Cleary. Good evening, Phil.
G'day there, Jimmy, and your crew. Nice to talk with you.
No, we really appreciate your time, Phil. And you are the perfect man to talk to. When you hear comments, which we won't repeat, but it does, insinuate violence towards women.
Yes.
How does that impact you? Because you spend every hour of your day, and I know this personally, every hour of your day trying to change attitudes and behaviour in our society.
Yeah. Well, look, Jimmy, I have accepted by now, after more than 35 years of campaigning, that there is an underbelly of men who don't properly understand the question of violence against women. Now, the fellow who made the comment thought it was a joke, and he has apologised, but apologised in a kind of way. And he said words to the effect, "I apologise to those people who might be affected." Why didn't he just say, "I know it was wrong," because the context is that violence against women is an epidemic and we lose a woman a week or more in Australia. And my comments could have amounted to the normalising of violence against women. Why didn't someone tell him what he should have said? We can accept an apology. People make mistakes. But, Jim, that's the context of these comments, and we have to call them out. We have to say that we have to describe what the context of that commentary is.
So Phil, further that point, there'll be an element of people and who will go, "Oh, come on, it's just words." Like, how do you change that behaviour and attitude, and as you mentioned, context? Because calling it out is one step, but how do we change those narratives or those thoughts?
Well, Jimmy, we've got Coburg Football Club playing Carlton on Sunday, I should say, in the Vicky Cleary Day match. Those players will line up for a moment's silence. I don't believe there's a game in the world at which men line up and acknowledge violence against women and stand in solidarity. We've got to have those events symbolically, and then we have to spread the word, Jimmy, in every sporting club in the country. And we have to try to walk men through how they can be, even unwittingly, complicit in violence against women. They should be condemning violence against women. That podcast, really, if they want to do the right thing, they should have been talking this week about Carlton Respects, the Coburg Carlton game, and Carlton Respects coming up. They had a chance to plug those messages, but they went down a dark path of normalising and laughing about what is a chronic social problem in the society. So, Jim, it's about us being out there, blokes everywhere. And you started the ball rolling in your life a few years ago when you called it out, what happened in your family. And that's what every man has to do.
Phil, Laura Spurway here. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in this space. And Jimmy, of course, the work that you've also done in this space. Look, I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. And I don't even like hearing you say that we need to go out there, we need to spread this message, we need to walk into football clubs and explain this to people. Why do we still have to explain this to people? It is so frustrating.
Yeah, I know. But look, I've been condemning men forever, so I'm happy to take that as a form of criticism or your frustration as a woman. I'll take that. It's right. We're frustrated. I mean, I don't hold back, though, when I'm in conversations with men. I want to be out there telling men. I'm not talking to men asking them to be polite. I'm not going to them and saying, "Oh, be respectful." That's too soft for me. I'm not asking them to be chivalrous. I'm telling them that they've got to accept women's human rights. So when push comes to shove, I don't hold back. But what I really meant to say, if I didn't say it properly, is we've got to be telling men. So this podcast has to be told as well. I'd be telling them, and Carlton has to tell them. So we've got to be telling men everywhere. But, let's go a step further. There are prominent men who need to be told also, aren't there? Prominent men in the media who say things and don't get pulled up. Recently, a prominent man in the media described the Minister for the Prevention of Violence Against Women as the Minister for Bullshit.
Yeah, not good enough, Phil. So you just mentioned the Carlton Football Club, and they have their Carlton Respects program. What do you think Carlton should do in response to this? They're both Carlton podcasts that were involved in this incident.
Well, you know, Matthew, that's the tricky part, isn't it? I don't think the apology's good enough. They have to come out and be saying to people, I would think, that you can't be listening to podcasts like this. That it's virtually saying this podcast has crossed the line, not acceptable, not good enough, and critique it. And then I don't know that they could go and apologise, but the apology's already fallen short. So I think they're going to have to talk strongly about that podcast. And if people want to go and listen to that podcast, given what's been said, well, good luck, but I wouldn't be.
Hey, so Phil, we have got, as you mentioned, the Vicky Cleary Day on Sunday. How can people support this day, the Coburg and Carlton footy clubs playing in this game?
Matthew, I'd like to see the terraces full at the Coburg ground. There were days in the old VFA days when it was full. I'd like to see the ground full of men in particular standing in solidarity with the campaigners who'll be there. And there will be campaigners, and there'll be the families of murdered women in that gathering. My sisters will be there. So, Matthew, I'd just like to think men like you, and you'll probably be busy, but we need men from the footy world to be standing in solidarity with the Coburg Football Club in this day that's dedicated to a young woman who lost her life at 25 years of age and has become an icon in the anti-violence campaign. I'm glad to be talking about her with you.
Phil, we hope the day goes really well for you. The only thing that makes me feel slightly positive about what we've been discussing is if you look at the commentary or the response to this,
yes,
most of the commentary around it from people who've consumed the content has been, this is not right. And that is the only thing that gives me a little bit of hope and a little bit of positivity about this conversation. And I'm hoping that it is the majority of people who feel that way.
Well, I just wanted to say, that's the good part of it. More people are talking now than ever before. When my sister was murdered, there was silence back in 1987, and I had to go out and campaign. But today, everyone arcs up immediately. Everyone condemns the comments immediately. You don't solve a problem till you know you've got one. And we know there's a problem, and we're at the barricades, and that's where we've got to be. So that's the upside. And we're also now aware, there are men who have these thoughts, and we need to deal with them.
So, Phil, I agree with Laura. 90% of the comments regarding what's happened have been, call it positive, for where we're trying to move to. How do we deal with the 10% who grab the whataboutism? So what about this cause? What about men? What about the 4 or 5 other different ideas? Because that seems to be the quick retort who still don't get the message.
Well, if I go back to that earlier point, Jimmy, it's about marginalising those men. And that's what I kind of mean when I say going out to the footy clubs. I want to be and have people in the footy clubs who marginalise those men who want to subscribe to those old machismo and misogynist views. We need good men prepared to campaign and say the right thing, marginalising those men so that they eventually disappear.
Phil, we appreciate all your thoughts, your comments, taking the time out to speak to us here on Sports Today. As Laura and Richo mentioned, Vicky Cleary Days this Sunday, May 24th, an annual Australian Rules football match from the VFL hosted by Coburg Footy Club in honour of your late sister. We hope it is a fantastic day, and don't stop leading the charge for us, Phil.
Thank you very much
Phil.
to all of you. Thank you.
Phil Cleary there. Andy Gowers, good evening, Andy.
G'day, Jimmy. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks. You can be almost our Tony Gregg here. You can give us a match conditions here. A pitch report. Have you got your Julius Marlowe's on?
I've got the Julius Marlowe's on. I've got my key in my pocket as well, just to check the firmness of the pitch. I actually did just walk out onto the ground because Cam Nairn is making his debut, and Luke Hodges just presented him with his jumper. So, look, it's a little bit slippery from a bit of dew, I would say. But other than that, it's it's postcard perfect, really. Absolutely beautiful.
Getting Luke down to present the jumper was also twisting his arm regarding his son. Just making sure he's definitely wearing Hawthorn colours.
Feeling the love.
Yes, not wearing Brisbane colours. Was there a little bit of that just whispered in his ear?
Well, there was no mention of it, but maybe subconsciously that was in our thoughts, perhaps.
Let's talk about the big topic of the week. You've been asked to leave politely, and I had to have a bit of a chuckle with your comments, Andy. I think you gave every person PTSD from their parents.
Oh, the dad talk.
Yeah, when you said, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. I think you hurt us all with that comment. It'd been flagged for a while, but did it become pretty sudden that they made the decision? Did you think there were still opportunities to try and debate, I guess, the merit of moving you guys out of Tasmania?
Well, we certainly debated to the last moment, that's for sure, because we legitimately felt that there's a very strong case for us to continue to play some games in Launceston, and that's based on, I guess, 25 years of playing here, roughly 8,000 members here, and I guess a proven track record of bringing people into the state of Tasmania to holiday during those winter months, when otherwise Launceston wouldn't have as many visitors as it does when the footy's on. So, going back to something you said before, we are pro-Devils as well. We want the Devils to be successful. We want the Devils to be, and they are, Tasmania's team. And what we pitched was, we don't need to be Tasmania's team anymore. And what we felt could be a future for us was flying in and flying out and playing a number of games to be agreed. We're open to what that looked like. But look, in the end, the AFL made the decision that we are not going to play any games here beyond 2027, which is our current contract. So we have this game tonight, 2 more home games this year, and then 4 more home games next year in 27. And then we'll draw a curtain on what has been a fantastic partnership with Tasmania, and in particular the city of Launceston and the Tasmanians of northern Tasmania.
Just before Matthew Richardson and Laura Spurway fired their questions at you, so you've known that this could have potentially been happening. So where to next for Hawthorn? Or is it back to Melbourne and take your time? Or have you got your eyes on other locations around the country?
No, look, our preference is to return the games that we've played here to Melbourne and significantly the MCG. And then that's our home ground. We already play one home game at Marvel. So, we will explore that with the AFL and get stuck right into those discussions with them. And I know people are leaping to where we could play, and that's all very interesting, and side discussions are happening left, right and centre. But our focus is on returning these games to Melbourne.
Hey Andy, Richo, was one of the things that you've floated perhaps to pitch and stay in Tassie and play a few games down there, was it the fact that you could create like a derby game each year, and it'd be the Hawks and the Devils down in Tassie, and it'd become an annual fixture because of your strong following down there? Is that an idea that you thought of?
Yeah, it is, Richo, and I think that's a sensible move. And if the Devils play us here in a home game for them, and I'm pretty confident that would be on the schedule for the AFL, that would instantly become not a derby anymore, because we won't be playing home games here, but certainly some kind of rivalry match, given we have got some history here. And we fully intend, this is something I really want our members in Tasmania to hear, and also our mainland members as well, that we are going to work very hard to keep our members in Tasmania happy. Now, obviously, our relationship will change because we won't be playing home games beyond next year, but we do want to maintain our connection, our very strong connection with our Tasmanian members. And what that looks like, we're working our way through. But I do want our Tasmanian members to know that.
Andy, Laura Spurway here. You mentioned that you want to return those games to the MCG. I know that the deal in Tasmania was very lucrative for you in terms of the partnership with the government there. I mean, the businesses down there have made no secret of the fact that they're disappointed because, people spend more money when they come in to stay a weekend as opposed to being a local fan base. How much do you lose out of not having a presence in Tasmania, and can you actually recoup that by being at the MCG?
Well, Laura, it's significant. I won't go into exact details because some of those things are commercial in confidence. But what I will say is that it is significant to us, and this partnership down here has been incredibly good for us as a club and helped us shore up our finances. So, what's very much front of mind in Hawthorn people's history is when we almost merged with Melbourne in 1996 because we're on our financial knees. And we certainly are not going to be re-entering those times again. And we're very mindful that our financial situation is incredibly important. So we will look at returning those games to Melbourne and specifically the MCG, and then looking at what we're going to need to find a new major sponsor because Tasmania are our major sponsor now. And there's a whole lot of spin-off effects. So at this ground here at UTAS Stadium, we get access to the signage and the ticketing and the corporate boxes, and there's a whole lot of other flow-on financial benefits from playing here, and we're going to lose that when we move back to Melbourne to a degree. But on the flip side, we'll be able to attract larger crowds and so on. So if we can continue to be a strong side, at the pointier end of the ladder, we can draw big crowds to the MCG, and we are doing that now. So, and that's with 6 games at the MCG at the moment and 1 at Marvel. So we think there's an opportunity for us to become an even more powerful club, but there's still some work to be done.
Andy, you just mentioned there before that you were pro-Devils to the Hawks, and Sam McClure reported last week in AW that 10 clubs had concerns about the inclusion of Tasmania. I'm assuming the Hawks aren't one then.
Well, look, Richo, when we're looking at a new team coming into the competition, I mean, there's the stadium and so on, and that we haven't got an update yet on when that's due to be built and finished. So there's a question mark there, I guess. But look, the concept of Tasmania having its own team is unequivocally a fantastic idea. And we're very supportive of that, and we certainly always have been. So I think that's a no-brainer. And then what it actually looks like, I know a little bit needs to be worked through, but we'll consider whatever comes. But the bottom line is Tasmania deserves its own team. They're going to get it, and I think that's a great thing for Tasmania, and it's a great thing for football.
I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're very pro-Devils, but you've got concerns on the mechanics of it regarding stadium and list structure and things alike. Is that fair to say?
Well, I reckon every club would be looking with great interest at what's going to eventuate, and some things have been released and there's more to work through. But we'll as information is released, we'll assess like every club does. And as the detail comes out, we can assess and make our minds up accordingly.
Andy, just to follow up to that, obviously all the clubs got the official list establishment rules this week from the AFL, with all the benefits that Tasmanian Devils will get as they're entering the competition to try and give them a leg up. What was your response to that, and more generally in terms of how that will shape the draft over the next few years?
Well, look, that's more in the footy department, Laura. I don't personally look at that. I mean, I glanced at it. I didn't read through the details.
There was a lot.
Every part of it. But look, our footy department will look at that and guide us as a board as to what our thoughts are on it. And I think it was only released a couple of days ago, so that's all very new. We're focused on a game tonight. That's our focus, and hopefully getting over the Adelaide Crows here at UTAS Stadium.
Your women's team have had some big news this week. Your best and fairest winner's stuck in New York at the moment, and you're now trying to activate Dingley even further. Of course, you're bringing your home games to Dingley. Some still big news on the women's game?
Yeah, really good news, Jimmy. We're rapt to be playing home games at the Kennedy Community Centre. We did play a practice game. The men played your old mob there earlier in the year in a pre-season game, so it's had a bit of a trial run there, and we've also played some Box Hill VFL games there as well, because Box Hill City Oval is currently under development. The ground is now ready, and the first game was played last weekend there, but the new stand and new buildings there haven't been finished, so for a period of time we played some VFL games there. So it's very exciting. And we're really looking forward to the AFLW season. I know the draw was released during the week as well, and so I know the team has started training, and we're all looking forward to the start of that season.
Can you give us an update on Anya McDonough and whether she's back in the country yet? I know she had to go to the US as you were trying to sort out the visa issues for her.
Yeah, I haven't got an update for you at this stage, so someone will have to get back to you with that information, but we certainly want her back in Australia, that's for sure.
Andy, quick word on your debutant tonight, Cameron Nan. What can you tell us about him?
Well, he's from Central Districts in Adelaide, Richo, and we've got, I think, 4, if not 5 boys that have been drafted from that very same club. So they're not all the same age, but they all know each other, and it's quite a remarkable thing to have that many from the same Sandful club in Adelaide. He's a bit shorter than me, so you may remember from when we played on each other, Richo. I'm 191 centimetres. He'd be about 189, I reckon.
189.
Not quite as, yeah, I'd say he's that. And but skillful. He was our number 1 pick last year in the draft, so I think number 20 from memory. He's settled into the club really well. He's impressed everybody at training, and Hodgie giving his jumper, I know, was a big thrill for him. Even though he grew up an Adelaide Crows supporter, because he's an Adelaide boy, he's very quickly got on board with the Hawks, and we're really excited for him to make his debut tonight.
Andy, did you take the points against Richo? He tends to lie about this.
No, he definitely took the points against me, no question.
Thank you, Andy.
Andy.
Well, that's just a fact. You can fact check that.
Hey, Andy, hope your Hawks go well down there tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Andy.
Good on you guys. Thanks a lot.
Aaron's up first. Good evening, Aaron.
Good evening, everyone. Fantastic evening with this. I just want to say something about Andy's comments. I think he was being a little bit optimistic. I think once the Devils have been introduced and Hawthorn are no longer playing games down there, I think their membership will, over a period of time, dwindle down to nearly nothing.
Aaron, are you a Tasmanian, or is that just an opinion from afar?
No, it's just an opinion. I'm a Melbourne guy and I'm a Collingwood supporter, so it's just if I was a Tasmanian and Hawthorn presented an option for me, I'd grab it with open arms. But if I had a local option, I would be grabbing that with open arms ahead of anything that came from the mainland.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Aaron. Obviously, being Tasmanian, I know a lot of people down there. Most of the people I know, and I'm from the northwest coast, so I'm speaking about most of the folk up there, they cannot wait for the Devils. They're fully supportive of it, and they're going to be Devils supporters. Yeah, they might keep an eye on their old team, whether it's the Tigers or Pies, but a lot of them are going to convert. I'll tell you that right now.
Richo, would it be fair to say, before the Devils, of course, most people in Tassie either barrack for the Hawks because of the Hudson connection, the Tigers because of the Richardson connection, and then St Kilda because Doc Baldock. That was the two.
Particularly up north.
Am I missing any? Because it's mainly those 3 teams are strongly supported.
All very strong.
Collingwood, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the big teams, and Carlton. I mean, all of those big Melbourne teams have got support down there. But there are so many Saints fans because of the Darryl Baldock. Yeah. And then Ian Stewart as well. Yeah, and you got Hart and Roach and guys like that, and then obviously Rewalt later on.
Yep.
And then Nick Rewalt at St Kilda. So there is a lot.
What about North? Because they were playing games down there.
Yeah, no.
Didn't take off in the same way.
Was that because they were more Hobart?
Well, they played their games in Hobart. Look, it's just, and there's more footy, probably heartland footy fans up north, to be honest, than maybe there actually is in Hobart.
Joe, take a big breath. You got 2 minutes. I've got to give you 2 minutes before we get to the news.
I've been, and I'm not cheerleading here, but I sort of am, I guess, a little bit because I'm Tasmanian. I want the Devils to come into the competition, right? And Andy Gowers does, you do, Laura does as well. But there's been a bit of negativity around for the last week or so, and I've been a little bit bemused by it because I'm just sort of thinking, where's it come from? Because I look at it, there's been no new news on the stadium costs since September last year. They presented the estimates and costs to Parliament in September 2025. So what are we now, 7 or 8 months on? There's been no new estimates since then. So the costs sat then at $1.13 billion. The Parliament knows about that, fully transparent, all of the costs there. There's been nothing else released since then. So any other speculated figures since then, that's purely it, speculation. That's just the fact.
Some of them, though, are pretty educated guess. Of course, the rising cost of fuel, the rising cost of materials, obviously finding a builder when everyone's heading north. I'm not poo-pooing it, but they're pretty educated.
But until you get that new estimate, you can only comment on the one
Correct.
that's there, right?
That is a fair point.
So the current estimate is 1.13. The Parliament of Tasmania knows about that. Liberal was elected on.
Hopefully, it's not the same people who estimated the ferries.
Oh, the wharf down there. Yeah, that you've got a good point on that one. So I'm just going by that. That's the current estimate. The government knows about that, and then. All the other news around Tassie coming out of the AFL, for me, it's been full steam ahead. They've just announced Hawthorn leaving. That's a big move to announce that Hawthorn's leaving.
So how do you feel then a club like St Kilda with their CEO, Carl saying, well, we don't want to drain on the competition. I'm very much paraphrasing, but that was the summary of his
well,
presentation.
he's the CEO of St Kilda, and he's employed to make sure their bottom line looks good. So he doesn't want anything affecting that bottom line. So that's what I'd say to Carl's comment. But I look at everything else coming out of the AFL, which runs the competition. Hawthorn's exiting Launceston after 25 years and being so successful. That's a big move by the AFL. That means the Devils are coming in. They've just announced the draft concessions and how it's going to look over the next 4 or 5 years. That means that it's all pro Devils and they're coming in. And the other one is the father. So everything that's being announced is full steam ahead. The Devils are coming and they're playing in this competition.
2028.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we know the stadium's not going to be finished by then.
We're just discussing with the stadium, because it's not going to be finished by then, those costs are going to go up because it's not on the time frame that it was meant to be on when those estimates were put to the Senate. Who is going to fund this?
How much would they have gone up in 8 or 9 months?
But the question Laura is heading towards, I think, is a fair question. Is
the shortfall?
Who funds that?
Because if the estimates
we haven't had that.
Let's call the number 1.2, right?
Yeah.
If it turns to 1.7,
so you got an extra 600 there.
Yeah, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
especially for a state government of Tasmania, which is not a state that draws the revenue that other states do.
Can you announce that if you don't know what the costings are yet, though?
Have you picked up a newspaper in Victoria recently?
You're saying things are going up.
Well, you could call anything 2 billion and it's never even close. They might as well just pluck a number out of the sky. And I know Tasmania is different to Victoria, but that's the state of politics Australia-wide.
Well, I guess if it got to 2 billion as the estimate, then maybe they are going to have to concede on how the stadium is built. And that would mean no roof.
I'd love it. Richo.
Isn't the roof the deal breaker?
I know.
Though?
So I can see that could be a problem if the costs do continue.
If they turned around and said, because of rising costs, we will not put a roof on this stadium. I just can't see that happening. That's been the
AFL has done a good job and pushed this back onto all the clubs to make the final decision. Make them make the decision. You raised some great points, Richo.
When would that have?
It has to happen pretty rapidly.
So I guess it's when the next costs come in.
Well, June 9, I think a date is floated. Because they've got to make those decisions because they have impact if they are to push the Devils back a year.
So you need the final cost by June.
Well, you need a clearer line of sight of what is going on. But dealing the facts, and I'm with you.
Well, Richard, at the moment, the facts are 1.13 billion. That's all you can work off.
Yep. And I think that is a great point.